is Lachdanon, and I'm cursed. Once the captain of King Leoric's army, I lived only to honor my land and my king. No man has a greater love for his king than I had for mine, even as I drove my blade through his dark and corrupted heart.
Maintain your incantations. You will soon turn.
Alright, so what I'm kind of thinking of doing here on a future playthrough, and I wanted to bring it up now since I'm here in front of the Templar, is I am thinking about putting together a playthrough where I just go through the entire act with the Templar and show off his additional dialogue, since I had put it in my final wizard playthrough, but I only did the important part where he starts talking to himself. What I'm thinking about doing is going back and basically recording all the dialogue he can say across the act. And what I might do is, instead of just doing it as one massive playthrough so you don't get bored and just cycle through it, I might just splice together every time he says something. So, you know, if you're kind of interested in that, you know, definitely leave a comment and I can get to work on that.
Who are you?
You will know soon enough. Help me find my gear. I will reward you well.
Tell me, what brought you to this infernal place?
I go to face the Skeleton King.
As do I. The cultists dragged me past this glowing pit. What made it?
I wish to know this as well.
One thing I had thought about doing was kind of doing a lore playthrough where I just talk to everybody in town, see everything that they have to say. I have kind of noticed that other people have done that as well, though. But, you know, if people are interested in it, those who are watching my videos, I mean, you can probably look for them on YouTube. But if you would still like to see that, you know, leave a note in the comments as well, and I'll consider the Templar dialogue and the conversation piece as well, and I'll put them out if there's any interest.
Warrior of the Templar Order. If it is the Skeleton King you seek, then you will have to fight your way past John Dar. There is no reason we should hunt alone.
No, there is not.
Almost makes me think of a shaman the way he talks, to be honest. Very similar. Or kind of the shaman of their tribe. I like his demeanor. I like each class's demeanor, honestly, and each one has had a different kind of personality to bring to it. You've got the demon hunter, who's you know, very loner-esque. You know, when the Templar offers his hand, he's like, well, I usually work alone. You know, so you've got the demon hunter, you know, is accustomed to working by himself. You've got the wizard, who's fairly arrogant. You know, the barbarian, who's kind of seen this all before, just trying to get everything taken care of, trying to stop the evils from returning. Witch doctor here, who is just very mystic. You know, he knows what he must do, and he travels to, much like the others, to stop the evil from occurring.
But the will of a Templar is stronger.
I mean, and each one, you know, has their own unique reasons for wanting to adventure forth. And what I kind of want to do, again, I'm going to probably make female characters of each to see if their motivations are similar.
You were a Templar, John Dar. How could you succumb to this?
Not bad, he went down pretty quick.
Betrayal can never be forgiven.
Thank you for your aid. I will go with you on your hunt for the Skeleton King. But there is one condition. If we find the sacred tomes of my order, they are mine.
Agreed.
Then onwards we go to fight the Skeleton King. Let us seek honor together, my friend.
Tough choice on this one. Yeah, I'll do that.
A worthy choice.
Give him my experience ring. And I have a 14.3 Holy Axe.
A good choice.
And I can use my shoulders. Very nice. Get some additional experience there. Let's take a look at the shoulder on me. Take it off real quick so I can kind of see the difference here. Looks like it only goes on the left side there. Very interesting. I like how the gear is very different for each class. Another thing is, let's go back to what I was talking about the female characters. I want to kind of go through the female characters, see what their motivations are. Because when you think about it, there's more than likely going to be different personalities and motivations there. Because, for example, the barbarian is the barbarian from Diablo 2, as I mentioned once before. He's returning. He's done this all before. He's out there. He's slain Diablo, helped slain Diablo and Baal. Whereas the female barbarian, you know, is a completely different character altogether. She has her own motivations. So the barbarian, while he's experienced with it, she may not be. So you have that. So I'm kind of interested to see, you know, how they'll react as well.
I tried to count how many we've killed, but I've lost.
So another thing I've been thinking, there's plenty of options to think about, and again, I urge anyone to leave comments about what they might be interested to see, because after I do this Witch Doctor, the only other thing I really have planned is essentially playthroughs at level 13, show off the additional skills that I wasn't able to show off when I was playing the first time through. So beyond that, I'm trying to figure out what, what could I do, what might be interesting, and I was kind of thinking of, again, checking out the town dialogue, which should be, honestly, that should be fairly quick to do. Going with a playthrough where I record all the Templars dialogue and just kind of splice that together so you can see that. And the other thing I was thinking of was maybe making a recording when I go through with the female characters. And instead of doing one like I am now, where I'm doing commentary throughout the whole thing, especially since I've commented on the skills and abilities already, what I might just do in a true kind of Let's Play fashion, just do gameplay. Just go in, play the game, don't really have any commentary to it. And I know there are some people that like that, that prefer that. It's just that, when I was watching videos, there's only so many times you can watch somebody playing a game without, seeing what they think or the reasoning behind some of the decisions they make. Without scratching your head sometimes. But so it's kind of nice to have commentary on some of these, to see what people think as they go, or maybe just for a little bit of amusement. After a while, all the footage starts to blend together, look the same. But again, some people like that. Some people do prefer that. They just want to watch the game. And I could definitely do that. Just put a recording out there. It'll probably make it easier. Then I don't have to have Audacity running in the background. I don't have to worry about coming up with something to say during the playthrough. So if you guys are interested in that, again, please leave comments. If you guys have maybe any suggestions that I haven't thought of, again, I am always eager to hear. Eager to get feedback. And I also, speaking of feedback, I want to take the time to thank every one of you that have left comments. Honestly, they've all really been positive. I had one that was that was in the negative zone, but it was feedback. I'm not going to take it as an it's not an attack or nothing. It's just hey, this is how I would like to see you do it, and preferences I have. You know, that's great, honestly. That lets me know what people are interested in, what they want to see in these. So I really appreciated the comments on both sides. I want to thank you all. And please do continue to leave more if you have it. And again, leave your, leave any suggestions you have for any future content for these. Maybe if any of you want to see other footage, like I do have the Tribes demo, or I call it a demo, a beta, that I could go over, at least make gameplay footage of it to show it off a bit. It's kind of difficult, because I'm just getting into this whole, really just getting into putting footage out on YouTube. It started with this Sengoku Basara. I really would like to return to that. It's so difficult to do translations, especially when I don't speak Japanese. I use my own personal knowledge, which I am a little self-taught, so I have some vocabulary. I can read and write hiragana and katakana. I'm not very good with kanji, but I have a tool called Japanese WP, or Japanese Word Processor, in JSTAR. It's called NJSTAR. That has a really good dictionary on it that I can update for free, and I can do radical lookups. So even though I don't know kanji, I can look them up, and that's how I've been doing my translations. Not only that, but Google has a translation feature, so I have ways of trying to get those translations out, and I'm trying to do my best, and just because I think it's a good series and the story's meant to be told, and I have been using translation guides. I'll get back to it. It's just very difficult, honestly. There's a lot of work. For one 30-minute video, which is like one stage, I probably spend hours just putting it together, putting the footage together, translating it, make sure the translation is right, putting the subtitles in on YouTube. So, a lot of work, but it's a labor of love. These have honestly been a lot easier to make, because I can just comment on them, play. I don't have to worry about translating. Much less work. But all that aside, too, I'm thinking about other content I can do, and I have some, people that I've been watching. I honestly feature their channels in my channel, such as Total Biscuit, Yogscast, which I have to admit I haven't really watched too much of them, but what I have has been really good. I have a friend that really likes them. So I honestly think they're worth liking. I have a lot of followers. Great guys, really funny, honestly. But they do similar stuff, like Total Biscuit has been talking about tribes as well. So I sit there and think, what can I put out there that's a little unique, and then I'm not rehashing what other people that, quite honestly, have probably done it much better than I can. I honestly am very amused watching Total Biscuit. I think he's a great commentator. I got into him because of the World of Warcraft Cataclysm beta. I was watching his footage as he went along, finding new things. And I have to admit, I did stop watching him a bit after he stopped doing that. His Cataclysm had already come out, and I'm playing it. It didn't mean I didn't like what he was putting out, or that I didn't care for his style. I think he's really good. It's just, having time to watch things, finding the time to watch them, and now I'm trying to put forth a little more time to kind of follow these people that I like on YouTube. I'm really bad about it, though. I mean, for example, I really like Red vs. Blue, and I've not watched the latest season, even though it's done. Yeah, that's bad of me, isn't it? Just look at that raw damage I'm putting out there. Okay. I've rambled. I apologize. Just felt like a really good moment since I'm just sitting here killing monsters, finding my way to the... Well, I've already found my way to the Skeleton King, as you can tell, but I was just killing for experience, so I didn't want you guys to be bored just watching me kill normal monsters. But we'll go ahead and go off the ramble track here a bit. But again, please, like I said, just leave me feedback, and we'll call it a day. How's that? But I hit level 10, so obviously I have my 2 passes now. So what we're going to do is see what I've got. I have Jungle Fortitude, reduces all damage taken by you and your pets by 20%, so just a raw defensive ability. I'm not using pets, I'm not taking a lot of damage, probably not going to use it right now. Vermin, your Plague of Toads, Corpse Spiders, Locust Swarms, and Fire Bats do 20% more damage. Again, this is almost one I would think that I wouldn't want to use, but I am using Fire Bats. So I'll probably stick to Fire Bats instead of going back to the Poison Dart, so I can take this, do 20% more, so that's what, 120 weapon damage with that now? Still not as much as the Dart, but it does it a lot quicker. So, very good. I don't plan on using Plague of Toads. I could pull out the Corpse Spiders. And Locust Swarm we don't have. I don't think I'm going to use the spiders, though. I kind of like the abilities I have.
Strike!
It was Lazarus, of our old servant. He alone had the king's ear, and whispered dark and evil matters into it, instilling the notion of an imminent attack by Westmarch. Afraid to speak against the Archbishop, the councillors nodded their empty heads in agreement, and sent us off to die.
So I really like this system here where you can, not only are your active abilities very customizable, but your passive abilities can really affect how you play. There's so many different build combinations and so many different things that you can do with this. I'm just really liking this, 20% upgrade to Fire Bats. Things are dying really fast now. So we're doing 250 over 5 now with Haunt. This has been a rather large map. And look at this, I started in here and my exit was right there. And yet, here I have all this going around, and this is going to more than likely go around that way. The joys of a random map generator. My exit was very close, but I still had so much more I could explore. And I know people were kind of concerned about the randomness of this game, saying, citing this beta as it's not going to be random enough. They don't think it's going to be as random as D2. D2 was... The thing about D2 is all the stages were kind of box-like. I mean, even though they had different content in those boxes, it's really what it was. You had a box and you had an exit on one of the 4 cardinal locations, north, south, east, or west. And that's really all you had. And of course everything inside of that box could be, randomly generated. But what we're looking at here with this is, for example, the path leading to the cathedral. Yes, that path is always the same. It's not going to change. But look inside the cathedral and what do you see? All of a sudden the cathedral's everything inside the cathedral is very random. And it will change. And not only that, but when you think about the road here, even though the path is very much the same, each playthrough I've had has had something slightly different that's kind of caught me off guard. And we don't even know the extent of what this random system can do. What kind of quests are we going to run across in the middle of our travels? Might be random packs of monsters, random wandering salesmen, we really just don't know, and I think it's kind of unfair to judge everything based on the beta alone, much like the difficulty. I mean, Inferno...
Focus is good, but do not let it narrow you.
Sage indeed. Where was I? What was I talking about? Think of Inferno, for example. It was created to be the answer to the large difficulty question. You're going to level up through normal, probably get to your final passive, get to level 30 in normal, more or less. I mean, that can go up or down, obviously, depending on how fast and how much you explore. So, then you've got Nightmare, which you'll probably get fairly close. You might not level cap off of Nightmare. And then, of course, Hell is where you're going to finally hit level 60 and start finding really good gear. But that means that Act 1 through 3 can't be super hard because you're still leveling and still gearing up. So then comes Inferno. And Inferno lets you go through every act with monsters of your level. Your max level, the monsters are maximum level, and the change is now the gear. It's all in the gear at that point. No longer level. And I think it's a great response, just because now, if you have a particular act you like, a stage you like, a dungeon you like, play it. Seriously, just go play it. Whereas, how viable was that in Diablo 2? So the random system, the difficulty system, much that we don't know about, and we won't know about until we actually get to play the game. I am eagerly waiting for it. It's just months away. Now that they've set their sights on a new release date, or release window, I should say, because a date has not been officially announced. Look at that. Look how big that is. Go over here. Okay. Now they've got a release window. I don't see them slipping on that. They originally had kind of a date with, November, December. I forget exactly where the original date was. Oh, I actually filled up my inventory. Okay. Let me fix that. But they obviously slipped on that one, and they knew it, so that's why they said they were going to look for the next year. But you'll notice they never actually said when. They did say early 2012, but early is subjective. Can be the first half of the year, for crying out loud. Increased mana and regeneration. Less damage, though. I won't keep it. But you'll notice they never promised a date. And a lot of people kind of get hung up on the words. This is why Blizzard has to be very, very picky about what they say. It's anytime they say something, people construe it as a promise. And it really isn't. They try and do right by the fans and get everything out in a timely manner, and just sometimes that can't happen. And sometimes they can't always tell us everything that's being worked on because they're working on it at such a rapid pace that anything they tell us may be old. I'm going to grab this book for experience. Excuse me a second.
I wish that Leia could live a different life, a more normal life. But alas, such is not her fate. When I pass, there is none but her to continue my work, and the future of this world hangs in the balance.
I seriously respect Blizzard's values, and that they try and make good games, and they don't try to rush them. They try and make them as polished as possible. And they may not always be perfect. I mean, it's really hard to achieve perfection, especially in software development. There's always going to be something that goes wrong, but they could be like other companies. EA and Vendi kind of coming to mind right off the top of my head. EA especially, they get in that habit of annual releases. Look at what they're doing to the Call of Duty series. It's like every year there's a new Call of Duty. It just seems like, do we really need a new shooter like that every year? Can't you give it some time and put in more features instead of just adding a few more, one or two new features and calling it a new game? Call of Duty fans might hate me for saying that, but I mean, I don't dislike Call of Duty. I really liked the first one. I really liked 4. I haven't played any of the newer ones, to be honest, but I don't have anything against them. I prefer Battlefield myself because I like multi-front combat, you know, air, land, sea. Well, not so much sea anymore. But that's my preference. I don't begrudge Battlefield, Modern Warfare or Call of Duty players. But I think even Call of Duty players have to wonder, you know, do you guys really need something to come out that quickly, that often, you know, or do you want to just sit there and actually play the game you've got? Maybe get map packs or, you know, DLC or something like that instead of having to wait for a whole new one. I mean, what new features do they add in these new ones? I couldn't really tell you because I don't play it. I understand why they do it for, like, sports games, like Madden and all that. I mean, because every year you're going to have a change to rosters. It's got to be updated. But then again, I could also think, you know, well, does it warrant a new game? I mean, can't you take one game, leave it out for maybe 2 years instead of 1 year, and just release the new rosters as downloadable?
We have just arrived in Tristram, and I must say, I'm a bit dismayed. This place is a backwater filled with serfs and an ancient broken-down monastery, hardly fit for the king of Honduras. I cannot fathom why Lazarus was so intent on this becoming our new seat of power.
Keep your distance from him. This burden is mine to bear. May death bring peace from your madness, Leoric.
Traitors! Even in death, the armies of Honduras will still obey their king, even if you will not.
You know, originally, I mean, I remember when I first heard the concept of expansion packs, and I didn't like them at first. I was a young gamer. Then over time I've learned the value of them. Especially if the expansion pack has enough in it to make it worth buying. It's cheaper than a new game, and may have as much features as a new game. But, you know, so I like downloadable content now, but I think some companies are going a little overboard with the downloadable content. Let me give it for instance. Let's look at, I'm going to be honest, one of my favorite games is Batman. Batman, Arkham Asylum, and now Arkham City. Really, really love those games. Arkham Asylum is probably the first Xbox game I've ever owned where I got all the achievements. Of course, it's not showing up on my record because of some issues between me not connecting to Xbox Live and using multiple Xboxes, but blah, blah, blah. But I did have all the achievements at one point. And I really like Arkham City. I've completed the story, found every trophy and all that. The only thing I haven't done is all the challenge missions. I really like it. But one thing they did with that is... that I can kind of understand is Catwoman. Catwoman is part of the main story. And when you buy the game, you get Catwoman for free. But if you tried to, say, sell the game to GameStop or something like that, that person couldn't have Catwoman. You have to go out and pay $10 to enable Catwoman. Alright, this is understandable because the company does not get revenue for sale of a used game. They only get revenue for new games. So, very understandable. That means that someone gets it used, they can choose not to opt out of Catwoman because, truthfully, you're not going to miss a lot. You're going to still get the overall story, just not get her side. Let's do this.
A fetid, pallid malaise has fallen over the manor we now call home. Young Albrecht seems to be enjoying himself in our new home, however, even with his brother Aiden off to become a warrior. Perhaps I am simply suffering from an imbalance of humors brought on by the recent change of climate.
So, that I understood, but there was one thing I did, and I specifically pre-ordered my Batman from Best Buy. I pre-ordered from Best Buy. Why did I do that? Well, I love games. I actually prefer GameStop. I had a stigma against Best Buy because they used to not get games on time. New releases were not always right away. They've gotten better at that. They really have, so I can't fault them for that anymore. That was a stigma that I had from them a long time ago because they weren't a game store. But they're much better about it now. But I still prefer my GameStop. I have a local GameStop that I know the guys there, and I have all my pre-orders through them. They usually have a lot of new information. They're, you know, being a game store, they're more privy to information, previews and all that, and they've usually got videos of the latest footage from for CES, Tokyo Game Show and all that. But the problem was, GameStop did not have the Robin downloadable content available for your pre-order. Now, they did have a challenge map that you could get. But the way I see it is, you know, characters' additional gameplay, far more additional gameplay than one map. The map turned out to be pretty good. I did buy it when it became available. But I didn't really like that these pre-order bonuses, I think, are sometimes getting out of hand. I really don't like that if you want to get something, you have to kind of choose your pre-orders now, which, you know, as long as they become available in the end as content, okay, that's fine, but the Robin downloadable content, the thing that bugged me the most about that is that it was content in the game, ready to go. All you had to do was unlock it by getting the by buying the downloadable content. Why was it not just given as a regular game? You know, this is what I don't like about downloadable content. There is stuff that they could put in the game at release, and they're not putting it in there because they can milk another $10 out of you to get that content. You know, if I'm paying $60 for a game nowadays, I really want there to be value in that. Alright, that's been my rant about downloadable content. Let's kill the king. I usually prefer regicide as my means of letting out steam.
You will never defeat me!
You were defeated the moment you surrendered to madness.
Alright, shame I didn't quite get to 11, but I think I have enough skills to really tear them apart, especially with my fire bats. A nice big group of damage. And apparently I can break things with Grasp of the Dead. It's just kind of funny to see a whole bunch of hands reaching up to break a few vases.
You bring this on yourself. Your death is here.
Alright, let's do this. Got my damage build. 20% there. Oh, this will be fun. Here we go. Under him. It goes down fairly quickly. Oh, and I've hit my mana. Okay, let's hit him with the harder abilities. Haunt on him. Grasp for now. Get my mana to come back.
Needs more time.
It's a good thing I don't take a lot of damage. I'm used to taking some if I don't. As long as I just make sure he doesn't hit me too much, I'm fine. Oh, of course I level on that one. Hey, what do you know? A Wonga doll. I'm wondering if his loot is being tailored to my class that I play as. I found a bow with my witch doctor, now a bow with my monk, and now a Wonga doll with my witch doctor. Could just be coincidence. Random loot is random. 1 to 2 damage, life regeneration, mana regeneration, very nice. Thorn's ability with damage per 1, and health globes. Decent. Less damage than this one, but it has a couple other bonuses. I think just because it's rare, I want to wear it. Just to show off a little bit. Alright, actually before I leave here, let's go ahead and I'm going to just quickly put on Firebomb here. 133 mana, Lava Skull that explodes on impact. An explosive skull that deals 155% weapon damage is fired to all enemies within 8 yards. Very nice. AoE. Very much AoE, and the damage is fairly high, 155. So we're looking at about the same damage as Plague of Toads. I'm going to be honest with you, abilities like Plague of Toads and the lightning abilities of the Sorcerer or Wizard, I don't care for, just because they're so erratic, although they could have potential in larger groups. Now, runestones are going to dramatically change some abilities. So Plague of Toads could become, there's some footage out there where you can see it turns into a giant toad, one giant toad, or a rain of toads for an AoE. So this ability, even though I don't like its base ability, could be something I might like later through runestones. Of course, I won't know that until I experiment with them. But this is very nice, 155, so more damage than the zombie charger, and it has a range, so let's just go ahead and you can see there, decent explosion. I can spam it fairly well. So the advantage that zombie charger has, of course, it's in a line. Close range though, it is poison over fire. I'm not really sure. We really don't know what the monsters in the end are going to look like. Are they going to be immune? Are they going to be resistant? Probably resistant. We don't know about immunities yet. Diablo 2 did have monsters that were immune. So if you say, for example, Spect is a pure cold sorceress, and there was a cold immune, you were kind of boned unless you had other abilities to supplement it or people helping you. So we'll see how that factors in. This looks like a very strong skill. Of course, I really like the damage over time of fire bats and things like that. So, but there's definitely different builds we could try here. I might go ahead and try a different build later, and maybe even report on it in another video. Well, this has been Kage-Kaze. This has been my rant video, apparently, as I talked about many things from different content that I could put out there, betas, to talking about downloadable content. So, thumb up if you liked the videos, please. And again, I'm asking for comments, looking for anything future that you might want to see, especially regarding Diablo 3, possibly anything else as well. So leave those comments in the comments field. I do read them all, even if I don't respond to them all. I want to thank everybody for watching the playthrough for Diablo 3 with all 5 classes. I'll see you next time.